We are live. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. D. I want to welcome you to Food Alchemy Network and our guest. This is our first premiere show of When Men Gather and How to Begin the Healing. I have some wonderful guests on my panel. So, without further ado, we are going to get into the commercial. So, hold on for 1 second. Let's see. We're going to do our commercial. Where is it? There we go. All right, one more. And who is it? Marie. Okay, that's the end of the commercials until 30 minutes. So I am Dr. D, CEO of Food Alchemy Network. We have Ori with Coffee with Ori, and we have Brother Naru, I'm going to say it right, from Oakland in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
house of California. And he is a humanitarian, an activist, and a poet, and he actually wrote a song for helping the youth, which is hip hop and learning, which is I got to see, which was very beautiful and has a beautiful website. So tonight we're going to talk about how to begin the healing. So I invited some panels, guests to come on and share with us. And we're going to do some exercise and some cooking recipes today. So I hope you'll stay tuned. So I'm going to give each gentlemen a chance to explain who they are and what they bring to their community for healing. So, Brother Naru, start with you.
Well, yeah. Hello, my name is Naru Panah, and I am from Oakland, California. I'm a native of Oakland, born and raised here. Um, what I'm doing right now is a journey for health. I just recently became plant based, like vegan. I'm not sure if I'm total vegan because I still wear my leather belt. So I heard that I can't be a vegan if I wear my leather belt. So I got to call myself plant based. Oh, they hardcore. These vegans are hardcore. So I got a song called "Going Vegan." So I guess I'm not gonna ever make it to be a vegan because I'm not giving up my leather belt. I'm the sorry. And my grandfather was a hunter, and I do have his deer horns up in my house. So I guess they not gonna ride with me. But I don't need any flesh for a year and a half. It's been a very wonderful process for me. I lost 40 pounds. I had eczema, a lot of joint pain. All of that went away. I also got off of gluten. So I thought I had a sinus infection. It was gluten. So in a year and a half, I feel better than I felt in the last maybe 15 to 20 years. I'm 56 and they tell me I don't look that. So I'm going to ride with that. And I'm an educator. My company is called Hip Learning. I use hip hop music to educate subjects like science and the environment. So we're doing lots of projects around the environment right now. We have songs about water and conservation. We have songs about nature, bees, things of that like that. So I give back to the community in that way. I also have a nonprofit organization called Alternative Minds Foundation, where we put on events and we help artists to go to the levels that they are seeking to rise to. We work with the disabled community, the homeless community, and the youth. So my mission is just to be present in people's lives, to listen more than I speak, and to aid in any way that I can in my community. I'm a community first person. I am really working hard in my community. I don't really seek the attention of outside of my community, but it does happen. I do have stuff all over the world, but my community first. If I'm not giving my community right, I really don't feel like I don't have the right to tell anybody else what to do anywhere else. So if my community's not right, my house first, and then my community, that's where I'm at. So I hope that's answered what your question.
You did it very eloquently.
Thank you.
and
Yes, very
my
eloquently. I think I've seen, as you were talking about shows, I think I might have seen some of your stuff
It's possible. I mean,
because there's a lot of stuff that I watch, documentaries that are, urban neighborhoods in California, and
Corey,
I remember hearing about
please give a shot.
the kind of stuff that you're teaching, but it wasn't a long documentary. It was a small documentary, and it was up and coming. And this was like maybe a couple of years ago. Could it
I'm
have
not
been?
sure. I mean, the documentary I worked on was not about that, so that might not have been me. But I do have a documentary out about a man named Joe Capers. He was a blind musician and engineer here in Oakland. That's the only documentary I have out to this point. But I have one I'm working on. But it's not. It's. I don't think you would have seen it. So.
No, because I know that there's somebody else doing something similar than like what you're doing. But I don't know if it's in Oakland or in another part of California. It's
Mhm.
similar, not quite, but his journey must be, if I'm not mistaken, he's young, so his journey must be through you. In other words, he's probably mimicking what you're doing in your community.
I have no idea, but there's enough room for everybody to do good. That's all I
See,
say. I
and
don't I don't want to have the ownership of doing good. If somebody wants to do good and take what I'm doing, but please do it. If it's working, please do it.
I like that.
and I
Okay,
mean,
Ori,
um,
explain who you are, baby.
uh, I'm not native to Florida. I was born and raised in New Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy, North New Jersey. So I came here. What can I say? What do I give to the community? I don't know. I mean, I'm a medium. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a meditation teacher. Uh, a lot of things. There's titles, but titles really don't mean anything. Titles. It's what you do to help people. I believe. I always tell people I don't believe in people. I believe in humanity. I believe that if you heal one person at a time and humanity gets together in a whole, we can create wonderful things. Because people people can be programmed to become something ugly, but united as a whole, humanity cannot be destroyed. Do you understand? So what I mean by individuals is, they can program one individual at a time, and it causes this effect, which is to break everybody apart and keep them separate. But if we continue by showing love, because I have godchildren that are young, godchildren, spiritual godchildren, because I am a Yoruba priest and an elder. So I have godchildren that are young, and sometimes they get on the phone and they talk to me about their parents, and they're like, "Oh, I really hate this person." And I'm like, "But why? Explain to me what it is that they've done." And then they're like, "Oh, because I can't do this." And I'm like, "Dude, listen. If you were born when I was born in '66, you would have been appreciative for the littlest things. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have any of that. I mean, hell, half of us only had one pair of sneaker and probably one pair of good shoe to go to church. That's reality. But at the end of the day, look, humanity, what you're doing is a wonderful thing. I try to heal humanity, I guess, I read a lot of people, so I have a lot of clients, and I'm very good at what I do. I'm working on a book called From Geisha to Ori, which is a story about my childhood of sexual abuse since I was 4 and my journey through all of that, of hating myself and wanting to kill myself and doing drugs and for some reason, every single drug you can think of, I'm not even going to name them, I tried them all, and I never got hooked on anything ever, because my system wasn't for that, and my mission wasn't for that either. I live in gratitude, and every day is a learning process for me. And yeah, I get chastised, and I understand that, I'm human. I see a lot of things that hurt me, though. Like, I see a lot of things out there that hurt me. And I know that a lot of these kids are just angry. They're angry, but they don't have an outlet. You know what I'm saying? Because their parents have to really work hard. And some parents aren't, fathers are in jail, and some are not. Some just decide to walk away. And that's why I wrote for Father's Day, Happy Father's Day. But, any man can have a child, but very few men can be a father. But there are children out there that need the thing, what you do. They need the support. With me, if I see kids selling candy, I buy their candy. I don't care if someone says they stole it. I don't care. They didn't steal, and I don't tell them, I don't take the candy. I give them the money. Here. How much is it? $1. I give them $4, $5. Take it. Put it in your thing. Eat the candy yourself. Why? Because anytime you help a child with anything they're trying to do, and you can mold them, you're going to get a success. Every time you tell you tell a child the facts, you show them, and then you tell them the truth, you're going to guide them the right way. Sometimes the truth is not worth. Sometimes adults sometimes don't want to hear the truth, but children are more receptive to listen to the truth.
It's very true, Rory. I was a teacher for many years, and right now I'm just running my nonprofit and businesses from home. I actually had a shoulder injury. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a frozen shoulder before, but man, it hurts so bad, and it's almost nothing you can do to get it to go back. And I keep talking. Every doctor is going to take about 2 years for it to just totally get right. So the pain has gone away, but I can't do any of the lifting and any of that stuff that I used to do. But I was running an after school program for about 30 years. And then I was in the classroom as well, and I taught science. And so what I found out about youth is that sometimes we have to break things down very simplistically for them. We use a lot of big words and terminology that just scares the heck out of them. So for instance, I was teaching kindergarten, and about half of the students didn't know how to write their name. And I just thought it was so odd, because I had homeschooled my daughter, and I taught her like to write her name when she was like 2.5, 3 dice shoes, all that stuff. And so when I came in the classroom and I saw kids didn't write their names, like, wow, what are these parents doing at home with their children? And then, I found out the parents were pressuring, you need to learn the alphabet and, arithmetic and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, it's really not that hard. And so I went up to the blackboard, and I had the children at the table, and the ones who couldn't write their names, and I showed them the alphabet on the board. And what I did was I broke it down. I said, hey, look at this. So this is a line and this is a curve. This is a line and this is a curve. I said, who can make a straight line? And they were like, yeah, I can make a straight line. They're like, that's baby work. I said, who can make a curve? I said, that's all we're going to. I said, well, listen, if you can make a line and you can make a curve, you can make every letter. That's all they are, lines and curves. And do you know that same day they all could write their name right after that? Because I freed their minds. We put a lot of weight on our children sometimes. So we have to break things down. All of the things that we talk about can be broken down to a simple form. And when you get down to the basics, it's really not as hard as we like to think it is. or we adults make it out to be to sound, important and significant. Really not. We're not really doing that much.
You know what? I find that what you do, just by what you were saying, I find it quite stimulating. Remember, like I said, I'm a medium, so I see things. And Dr. D and I have been friends for 20-something more, 20-something years. I mean, we've known each other basically half a life. And you're going to be my friend. Remember these words. You're going to be the Pied Piper. You're going to be the Pied Piper.
Wow.
Of your neighborhood. Why? Because when you first started your journey, a lot of people didn't believe that it was a journey that was free, that it was from the heart. People thought you had an agenda.
No. Totally opposite.
No. I'm totally
opposite.
I'm telling you what I see. And I'm not talking about people of color. I want you to get that. I'm not talking about people of color, minority. I'm not talking about them. Because those are the black and brown and the yellow babies. Those are our babies. We're not talking about them. We're talking about other people. When you start a nonprofit, they think that because you're of color, you have your own agenda. Do you understand what I'm saying?
That just hasn't been my experience, brother, or to be honest with you, because I've had support from all races, all walks of life. So that hasn't been my experience, because I've worked in private schools, public schools, and I've had very strong support. Matter of fact, it was some people who were not even of color who told me I should start my business because I was doing it for free with my children, teaching them science. And they're like, hey, there's grants out there for this. I didn't know anything about grant writing or anything like that. That's what I write grants now. And they were telling me like, hey, there's money available for what you're doing. And I thought they were crazy. I like, somebody's going to give me free money to do what I'm doing. And no, they were like, hey, here's these places we want, so I haven't had that experience, so I'm not gonna own that one. But
no. It's not. And I get what you're saying about owning it. I always tell people, I only tell you what I see from spirit. Mm-hmm. So spirit always deals with past, present, and future. Always remember that. People like me, we always deal with past, present, and future. If it hasn't happened, there might be a strong possibility that it can happen.
I could see that.
You understand?
Yes.
That it can happen. But I will tell you one thing. You will be the Pied Piper of Compton, because you have
I'm in Oakland.
In Oakland. You actually have that beautiful light. Like Dr. D. Dr. D, I've known her for a long time. She's always trying to make a difference with people. And the response in the beginning is great. People applaud her. They do they want to be a part of it. But then down the line, see, because what I've learned by seeing, is that when you do well, people applaud you. When you're doing too well, and you get to keep climbing, then it becomes a problem, because it's like
that I have experienced.
Yeah. So you can only keep a cover this high. You can't have a mosque. You have to have just a little tiny church, and they can deal with that. But when it starts to grow, and that's why I say you're going to be the Pied Piper, because I see the veins flowing. Like it looks like the tree behind you, like veins. It's not about it's a beautiful thing. Believe me when I tell you this, it's a beautiful thing that I see, And when it's just with the kids, because these young boys, the
Mhm.
girls need help. But what I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed it, the girls become mothers. And Dr. D, you probably seen this. These young girls become like mothers, and then these boys are taught that they are your father's not home, so you're the man of the house.
Yes.
All that responsibility on a child. Is it? Do you believe that has pushed a lot more pressure on them?
I
I
I
totally
can
do.
I do. I was my mother when my mate died in the car accident in 2007. She said to my son, "Now that means you're the man of the house." Now my son, only being a little person, like I think he was about maybe 8 or 9, and I had to correct that, and I said, let's take a break. I was like, he a child. I am the adult. I am the head. He is a child. That is too much of a weight on my child's shoulder to grow up with. He is not the man of the house. I'm the head of the house, and I just happen to be a female, and it's okay. He has to learn the balance. So I don't want to put that pressure on my child, but my mother told him that. My aunt told him that. And he's like, "Well, mom," I was like, "Okay, let me they what they do in their house is different. In my house, this how it's gonna be run." This mama says mama's in charge. Mama tells you what it needs to be done. When you get your own house, then you run your own house where you pay the bills and do that. That is a man. But in this house, mama's mama. You're my child. My job is to take care of you, put a shelter over your head, provide food for you, give you the best education to my ability. And if I don't have it, seek it somewhere else so I can educate you. I tried for my son to find many mentors for many years because he is what I consider a genius, but he doesn't realize how smart he really is. And the thing
Dr.
about
D,
the work,
how old is your son now?
my son right now is 25.
Okay. He's a grown man.
he, he
Yes.
should be, but he still to this day, he knows this is my mama house, this is my mother's rules, this is how she is. And there is some conflict because now I'm 25 and I'm feeling my oats, but I try to find other examples. Like I have my big brother Eddie that I'll talk to him, a conscious man that's intellect. I have Ori that I can call and look at the spiritual aspect that's known him, watching him growing up, that actually took care of my son while we were dealing with the issue for my daughter and had no problem while we went to the hospital. So he knows him very well. So I've always, Spirit has put someone in my life to be able to give him some examples of positive men that were in his life, because I'm a stickler. I'm not one of these women that I don't want a revolving door as my interim, and I'm very particular. So I don't
Mhm.
want him to have an example because they're going to emulate what they see. That was in my mind as a young girl. They're going to emulate what they see, and I want him to be a strong male and have consistency and know what it is. But sometimes that can backfire too, having too much of a strong of a female. And then my daughter was such a strong force. You got two powerful females in the house and you the baby. Woo! That's hard to deal with.
Man,
I go
man,
lie.
man.
That's hard to deal with. So that's in itself makes me want to be but he makes me want to be a better person. You know what I mean? Always reach better than I was. Having children made me want to reach better than I was.
Oh
And
yes,
like I told
yes.
him, I can't tell you what it is to be a man because I'm not a man.
Hmm.
I can give you some information and some guidance, and maybe hopefully you see. And he's seen some men that were not positive and said, "Mommy, I don't want to be like that. Mommy, why they hurting?" He would point them out. At 3, he knew that, I had we're gonna say a father figure uh call himself hitting me. He was playing. And my son, being 5, jumped up and said, "You don't put your hands on my mama." And he looked down and he's like, "I was only playing." He said, "We don't play like that in my house." And he looked at him. He's like, whoa. He said, how old are you, young man? He said, Papa, you don't know how old I am? He said, you should know. You don't put your hands on my mama. I don't do my mama don't have that. You gonna be gone. And I was like, ooh, whoa. I was like, okay, little one.
Maybe he was the man of the house.
Well, at that time. Well, I'm going to ask you two questions. Naru,
Yes, sir.
where do you get your name from? It's beautiful, but where do you get it from?
So my name came to me in a dream because I wanted to change my name. I had a slave name which I don't even speak, and it actually had a Roman numeral 4 at the end. It was so Anglo-Saxon. When I would go for job interviews, they would call the name and look at me and be like, "That's not where's the person? That's not you." And when I became aware of more positive things, I wanted to change my name. Now, granted, I didn't grow up in the most positive light. I grew up in the hood in Oakland and around drug dealers and pimps and prostitutes and all kinds of gangs and stuff. So I grew up kind of hard. We moved around a lot, so I moved all over to different schools. I had to fight every new school I went to. So I grew up in a kind of a hard way, and I didn't see a whole lot of positive male images except for my grandfather and my uncle. My they're both passed now, but my grandfather O'Neill Dyer and my uncle Brady Foster, they were the positive people that I saw. My father was a heroin addict, so at the age of 3, I didn't see him barely ever, and when I did see him, it was not the most ideal conditions. When I saw him, he would tell us he was going to come get us and things like that, and he didn't show up. Those the classic, you're waiting on the porch, and he never shows up, or he's going to come for your birthday, never shows up. So my life, like a lot of black males, the single parent home. My mother was phenomenal. She studied with some of the Black Panthers out here, so we always had a strong belief system in ourselves. So that made me very very strong. But my name, when I met some brothers who were doing spoken word, and it was real positive. I hadn't really heard a lot of that, and they were very Afrocentric, and I made me want a name. And so I kept reading books trying to find a name, but it never came. And for years, I just like, well, I guess I'm not going to get one. And then one night I was asleep, and it was actually one of my students who came to me in my dream, a young lady named Ziamara, a beautiful, gifted young girl who's just went on to do fabulous things, artwork and singing. She was just like a gifted spirit. And she came to me and spoke my name to me in my dream. And granted, I'm not a person who remembers my dreams a lot. I have very few dreams I can remember. That one I remember vividly. And she said, Naru. She said it like almost like a wolf, Naru. And I said, oh, wow. She said, yeah, that's your name, Naru. I was like, wow. And I woke up. And when I woke up, it felt like a boulder had lifted off of my shoulders, like a weight was gone and I was transformed. And I've been trying to live up to that ever since.
Well, you're doing an amazing job. My name was Osbed. Oh, Obed. My name was Obed, like the Bible, Obed. And my last name was Merced. But I was never comfortable in my skin.
Mm-hmm.
Since, I don't get into my personal stuff because it was tragic from 4 to like 13, and I left my house at 13 because I couldn't deal. I was tired. And I think that when a boy, and that's what I try to explain to people, a boy is different from a girl. When a boy is passed around, it's more of a mind. It screws too much, like it messes up too much, and but I always did the best that I could. When Dr. D met me, I was always a giving person. I always believe in that. I always believe that giving gifts, it was like the way I bought friendships. And I bought I just did a lot of stuff, but my name Vanderview. My name is Ori Vanderview, and actually Lord Ori Vanderview.
Wow.
So Vanderview. Well, the name that I wanted to name myself for many years was Amun.
What does that mean?
Amun is the God who created himself.
Wow.
So
Respect.
Muslims know the name Amun, and so do Jews.
Okay.
And it came from like Amun Ra, and
Oh.
that has to do with the fact that in my past life, as far back as I can remember, my father was Amun, and
Mm.
I used to tell people my father was named Amun. I said he had a dome shaped head, and when he died, and they buried him, but they didn't bury him in gold. They buried him in silver. People said to me,
Mm.
people would laugh at me. People would laugh at me. They say sarcophagus are not silver, they're gold. And I was like, no. I said, I'll even tell you more. My father stole Ramses, the father, and he took him and he buried him where he was buried. He buried him first. I said, and nobody knew that it was Ramses the first. They thought it was Ramses the second. And like I said, and I told friends about things that we're going to find with time, and people thought I was crazy. But guess what? If you look on YouTube, because you can't find it anymore on Netflix, and you type in the silver pharaoh, it's Amun,
How about that?
the silver pharaoh, Amun, and it
Wow.
tells you the whole story. But I remember that, and I remember being pushed off the Sphinx as a child into the water with a stick by one of the guards, and I was the son. I was the third son, but they don't mention that Amun had three children, three boys. They don't,
Mm.
but I was the third son, and I remember if it was yesterday, and when I told some people, they were like, "Well, the Sphinx is open. There's no way that you could have drowned there." But then it turns out that the Sphinx actually used to be, closed a little. So when it rained, the reason the pyramids are not at the same level, they're high. So as the water comes down, it used to flood the Sphinx.
Mm.
I didn't know any of that. And I would tell people stories, but for a long time, the name resonated with me as a child. I used to see things that used to come to me. Um, but then when I moved down here, I left New Jersey broken. I don't know if that makes any sense.
How old were you when you left New Jersey?
I've been out of Jersey like 7 years,
Okay.
and I'm 54. So it took me a very long time to deal, and it's an everyday process because it doesn't go away. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I tell people I'm not forgiving because I'm not God and I'm not Christ, so I'm not going to forgive. It is my experience. I needed to go through that. So I really don't talk about things like that. She knows my life story, but I literally ran from New Jersey. I ran from New Jersey. Like I ended up in the mental ward, not because I was sick. And this is why we people of color, and I mean I'm light, but people of color and Latinos, we got to be very careful, because I went into the hospital at 12 in the morning or 1 in the morning. I was sad. I was sad. I wasn't suicidal. Now I tried suicide when I was a little boy. Literally tried as a kid many times, jumping off a building, getting hit by two cars in the middle of the street. Nothing killed me. Nothing. So I didn't go in there because I wanted to die. I went there because I was sad. And all I said was I was sad. And then all of a sudden they make you sign this paper and they shut this door and they shoot you with Haldolf and you're like this in the hospital. Yeah, that's how I was. But when I left Jersey, I ran. I ran away from everyone, my family. I left everything behind and started a new life. And when I started a new life, I promised myself that I no longer was going to worry or live for anyone except me.
Good for you, brother.
And that whatever I've learned from what it was to be abused, not just sexually but physically, that I was going to help everyone that I can, because people forget about the children and people forget about old people. You notice that,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
this generation feels they have this sense of entitlement as if you are supposed to do. And then when the old people give them advice, they're like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, we didn't grow up that way.
No, not at all.
We didn't grow up that way.
Respect for the elders, brother. Man,
No.
I lived with my grandmother for many, many years after my grandfather passed away, and people couldn't understand. Like, why don't you go get your aunt? I said, my grandmother's alone. This is my heart. She taught me how to
Mhm.
cook, and taught me how to be tough and, to stand up to people. And she told me she didn't want to live alone. And until I got married and had my own child, I was not going to leave my grandma. And when I did left, I moved 2 blocks away because I didn't want to be away from my grandmother because I wanted to protect her. And it tore me up that I wasn't living with her. And, we have this thing where we don't want to stay connected with our elders. Everybody wants to leave. And then, and like, well, why would I go pay rent somewhere and spend and give money to somebody else who's not even going to support my community when this house is paid for? My grandmother told me I can do whatever I want. So I started
Mhm.
building my businesses and things like that, buying my equipment for my music and helping her out with whatever she wanted. And it was the most beautiful experience. And it's like a lot of people of color or black people more than anything tend to just pull away from each other when we get a certain age, and they want to kick the children out of the house, and then it's like, why don't you pool your money together and work together and build? I don't understand it at all. It's really crazy. And then they throw the elders in the rest homes, man, and you go, if you go in those places, oh my God, the stench is horrible. The care is not great. The food sometimes is inadequate. And it's just like, well, why don't you just keep them at home? You could pay for someone to come in or something. Like these rest homes are like a death sentence to our elders. And it really bothered me that when my grandparents had to take their parents, well, my grandmother had to take her parents to rest home. She just couldn't deal with them because my great grandfather had both legs amputated and he was blind.
Ooh,
And then my
wow.
other grandmother, they called it senile at the time. I think it's like Alzheimer's or something now, but they used to call it senile. And she just couldn't. She tried as much as she could to deal with him, and she had to put him somewhere because no one could care for him in the home, and it really tore her up. I saw what it did to her. So I tried to stay with her until as much as I could. My grandmother ended up falling and breaking her hip, and the operation was successful, but she just didn't come back. And brother, when you talk about the spiritual, I actually got to witness her talking to my grandfather, telling him that she was on the way, be patient. And I said, who are you talking? She said, you know who I'm talking to. I mean, it was like, I was like, okay, I know. I mean, I always felt for sure there was something different, something more, but that just solidified it for me. And I don't fear death at all. I don't share a life experiences like you. Like I don't remember any of my past lives. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
No, no, no. I mean, I remember them all. That's the whole thing. I
that's
didn't.
amazing.
I
That's
remember.
amazing.
I remember the first existence in this planet,
That's
and
great.
this
That's
and
amazing.
this is it's hard. And I don't know how. I don't. She does the same thing. She knows too. I
Wow.
I don't know how I know, but I know.
Have you ever left your body and had an outer body experience like floating, See, I did that once, and it terrified me, and I
Well,
think I kind of closed off the energy from coming because I didn't understand it, and there was no one around. And then when I spoke to my grandmother, she was like, "Well, we're our family. We see spirits. A lot of our people, they say, born with a veil over your eyes, or
uh-huh.
yeah." She told me about our family. I said, "Well, how come nobody nobody ever told me this stuff? I thought I was going crazy over here." She said, "Oh no, we have that in our family, and we can connect with spirits, and I can actually see spirits. I don't actually speak with them, but I actually have seen many spirits in my life, and I've been around energy, witchcraft, people, who did some major. I mean, so when people tell me it's not real, I look at them like, you don't know what you're talking about, because that energy is all around. We can't see it all the time. We're not present in it, but it scares me sometimes, so I try to keep away from it. But I have a lot of friends who are deep into it. One of my sisters just went to Africa, and she's coming back as a priestess. And I hope to talk to her soon, and see her experience, because she's very, very spiritual like that. And so I wanted to hear more about your yoga practices, because I hadn't have a few friends who have went through that ritual, and they're not at the level you're at, but I'd really love to hear more about that, because I'm very interested. I know a little bit about some of the god, Shango, and
The
Ogun.
deities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the deities. Yeah, I know a little bit about them, but not at any high level. So I
Well,
wonder if you could share more of that.
I'm crowned Yemaya. I'm crowned the queen of the ocean, and my father's a womb.
Mm-hmm.
So the Yemaya has very different, similar paths. She has 7 paths, and my path with her is like Ogun. She is the warrior that doesn't live in the ocean. She lives in the woods.
Mm.
And Ogun and her were husband and wife, perfect couple. But she chopped off his head
Oh,
because he cheated on her. So she
oh.
chopped off his head. So that
Wait, which head?
this head, the head. So it's a lot of stuff. Like even like Seth. Seth is a child of Ogun, and she's a child of Yemaya. So we have a lot of similarities, and this is why I said, it's permeating in my head with what I said to you, and you said, well, I didn't have that experience yet, and I'm saying, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, because I always tell people, sometimes spirit may talk ahead of time, and it's not present, it's not it's not past, it's
Mm-hmm.
more of near present or
Mm-hmm.
future present with what's going on now.
Respect. I respect that.
You understand what I'm saying? Because spirit wants you to be aware. Spirit wants you to be aware that you're aware of many things, and you have many children. Because a lot of them look at you like father. You're a father to many, and
That's
you're a
real.
father. You're a father to your community, because
That's real talk.
you are a father to your community, to the elders, to the young, to the Latinos, to the blacks, to whoever. You are the father to your community, but you will be the Pied Piper of the area, and that's when you're gonna notice the change of people's.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
have the backing. Your music will take you and will continue to take you as far as you want to go. You can go anywhere you want to be. You can do anything because you're gifted that way. But the energy that you carried it because this is not the first time that you've tried to heal people. This is maybe your third lifetime that you've tried to do this, and in other
Mm.
lifetimes it didn't work.
Mm.
And in this lifetime, it's working. So you have to keep pushing.
Thank
You
you.
have to
Thank
keep
you for
pushing
saying that.
through
I
because
appreciate
it's important. It's important. You have a lot of stuff. Sometimes we can't say, sir. There's certain things that we can't say. I will tell you this though. You want to help your community, you will be able to help your community in the next year bigger than you ever thought you would be able to help them. Financially, you're not going to have to worry about a lot of things. Everything is going to open up for you because more people are becoming aware and awakened. That's the key, awakened. You know, Dr. D talks about that all the time, and we've talked about it a lot in the show. The awakening have been happening. If you notice that, I mean
Yes, yes, sir.
the different moons, the different moons that have passed by, these are all awakenings, and all these awakenings um, make us shift, and then it also affects a lot of the children. Like, have you noticed some kids? They become more. Some become more aggressive. Some become more lax. A lot of that is the change of energy. The energy shifts. Because we're all
Mm,
part of the universe, so we shift. But I don't know. I feel that if I had someone like you when I was growing up, I would not have gone through all the things that I went through. You understand?
I
Because I
do.
actually I actually pulled away, and I was always to myself. And she can tell you, I live by myself. I don't really like to be around people. I mean, I'm sociable and I travel, and I've met hundreds of thousand people, and I know tons of people that I read. But my safe zone is being by myself, just still. And some people say it's not healthy, but I think that I am the healthiest I've ever been
That's right. Take care of
because,
yourself first, bro. You gotta take care of yourself
well,
first.
because I'm no, because I realized that I was not broken, and I'm not broken.
No, you're
Do you
not.
understand? They tried to break me, but they never could break me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I try to instill in kids. You know what I'm saying? Because I've met a lot of young men who are in the street hustling here in Florida.
Oh yeah.
They're young hustlers, and I tell them, listen, you're not gay. You're not. You're young. You're hustling, but you're not gay. You're hustling because why? You need money. You
Mm,
need a job. If you need anything, ask. I'll help you. I'll help you find a job. I'll help you. I'll help you get into a program because I have a friend who works for a drug program here in Florida, and I'm West Palm Beach. I live in West Palm Beach. I'm like, I'll get you the help. And they look at me as like, you don't understand what I'm going through. I said, you don't think I understand what you're living? I lived it. I
that's right.
lived your life. And at the end of the day, it's not that I just look at life, and people that are my people that I acquainted myself with years ago that came from money always say, why do you talk to these people? Why do you socialize with these people that don't have? And I said, because I've been there. I know what that is. And they're human. To me, they're much better than you. And
Ooh,
I've
yes,
always been
sir.
like that. I've always been very open.
Yes, sir.
Like I'd rather socialize where my mom taught me. I grew up in Newark. It was a bad area. We grew up with prostitutes. Prostitutes used to walk us to school. At 4 or 5 years old, walking us to school. My mother used to get up in the morning in the building. People were in the hallway shooting up. My mother would get up. She would make coffee for everybody, and she
Wow.
would take it out there. And she would take the broom, and she would take water, and she would sweep, and she would say, "It's time to get up, get out, because the children play here.
That's right.
Take your needles." And even the Black Panthers in New Jersey, in Newark, used to take care of us
Mm-hmm.
in the church that was right next door. So believe me, you are an asset, and you will continue to be. So just be Naru, because that's who you are. It's like a lion. You roar, but in
Thank you,
here,
brother. Thank you.
you have a lot of love. Keep
Yes,
going.
that's true. I mean, I had to actually for myself believe that I was worthy to do good first. When you come from what I came from and seeing what I've seen, you don't see a lot of good, and you don't feel like you're good. And I was doing things by circumstance, by my area that I lived in. I was associated with gangs because I lived on the block. You couldn't go in certain areas because you lived on the block. Well, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't robbing people or killing or anything, but I lived in the area. So if you live in me, you can't come over here. So that was my experience. And but I had friends all over the place, and man, music saved my life. Writing, just being around that, when I When I heard Rapper's Delight in 1979, I was
Hmm.
14, and I ran outside of the house screaming like, "Man, God, did you guys hear this song? Did you hear this song?" You know, because I had never heard rap music in my life, and it was like, "What? What is this?" You know? And then I wasn't the only one running out of the house. A lot of my friends were running out too, because you know I guess we're all listening to the same radio station, and we couldn't believe it, and we wanted to do it. We like, well, we can't sing doo wop, but we can do that, and literally started writing rhymes, and I, picked up a keyboard, started playing, and literally the music saved my life. I'd be living in certain areas, and they wouldn't even let me get involved with stuff. They said, "No, you go, you the music man. Go do your music. You can't come out here and hustle with us. You can't do none of this stuff. And me and my friends, we would get a pass. We could walk through some of the worst neighborhood, but they knew that we did music, so they were like, yeah, they just the music dudes. They ain't trying to be so." Music saved my life many times, brother. Many times I was in situations and brothers, oh no, them the music dudes. Don't bother them. Where somebody else might have got beat up or robbed or whatever. They're like, no, those the music dudes. And then that was we always called they just called it the music dudes. and
Yeah,
and
that's
so
good.
I continue to do hip hop to this day. It's therapeutic for me. I write so many songs and rhymes, and then when I started teaching and I started teaching science, I use hip hop to teach science, and I made a project called Hip Hop, the Human Body 101, and that's how I started getting grants and started doing things like that with that project, and it's been still one of my most popular projects. So music is super healing for me. I know music is a gift. I don't look at it as the industry. Like I had record deals and stuff back in the day. They were just horrible. I couldn't deal with those people, and I left and turned down money to just do my own thing because music is a gift. I don't see it as being sold to be sold. That's why I have a hard time making money because I give my stuff away like to kids all the time. I just give it to them. But the grants help. I get the grants to do the project, so it's already done, and I can just go give it away to the community. And that's how I like to spread my music around. And it's been very 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 fun. I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, and I love one-on-one time with young men. Work with a good friend of mine. He was a foster child, and I helped him go to school. And now he started working for Google and all that. He ran, and now he came back to give back to me, and we just started a film company. So we he
That's great.
came back and said, "Hey, I want to help you. How can I help you?" I like, well, I'll get this equipment if you learn how to do it. He's like one of these guys that can read his name is Quentin Scales. He's one of these guys that can read a manual and quote you pages and paragraphs from it later.
Wow.
No, he's just like, he's an amazing individual. And that's like, so not what I can do. I see the manual and I like, okay, I can do it. Let's start. Like I'm not reading the whole thing. He'll read a manual from almost from cover to cover and really understand it. So he has a gift. And
Yeah.
one of the other cool things I used to do when I was in the hood, I would just sit on my porch and read books, and I wouldn't really say anything to anybody. I just sit on the porch and read, and all the gangsters and stuff, and the little kids would come by and just look at me, and then eventually they would just come up, man, what you read? Why you always reading? I was like, oh man, I'm just reading this. I like to read. Here, this is an autobiography of Malcolm X. You ever heard of him? No, I said, he used to be doing some of the stuff that you doing out here, but he turned his life around. You can borrow it, you can check it out if you want to, bring it back. And so people started coming to me for books. So what kind of book you got? I started sharing books with people, and I knew what I was doing. I knew eventually they would be like, what's going on with this dude? He's different. They
The
always just
Pied Piper.
call me different.
The Pied Piper.
So, and that helped your community in a whole. So my question is that we do as men need healing. So what would you suggest, like how your examples, both of your examples, really beautiful, how you sat on the porch and shared just your wonderful knowledge with people just pass by, not being aggressive and pushing,
Yeah.
but actually open dialogue for them to come and see and ask questions because then they're curious. By being an example, you're sitting here, you're doing what you love, but it's also opening other people's minds and expanding their horizons. If they hadn't encountered you, they wouldn't have. So, what do you suggest for these young men that are coming up now, um, to do in the community so they can begin the healing of coming together, because they've seen drugs, they've seen abuse, they've seen disrespect? How do we do that? Like Ori said, he and his community give to some of them and talk to them and say, let me help you and I'll take you there. So how can we as a whole, individuals, do anything without preaching? Because a lot of this stuff, that's why a lot of young men turn a lot of elders away or other people away, because they're so shaking their hand and doing this and telling them what they shouldn't do, but not giving them a solution
Our
or where they
options.
can go
That's
with
true.
it.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. So, how would you approach that, or how would you suggest the other brothers out there, young men, or what they can do themselves, even being a young kid like you are reading a book? That's an example to what to do.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just,
mean,
I'm
you
just
know,
putting it out
it's systematically designed for us to stay a permanent underclass, because for capitalism to work, they need people to be at the bottom. So we've been designated in that position, and if you look over history, no matter what we've done, even when we've done great things, you know, we're our people have do the most with the least. But even when we've been able to achieve great things, they've always torn us down. And so what we're gonna have to do is stop the tribalism, which we still brought over here with us. You know, we claim blocks, and we were talking about this earlier, Doctor. We claim
Yes,
blocks and streets and areas that we don't even own. We don't own those. Those are not, they don't belong to us. We don't own property. And even when you say you own a home, you don't, because you have to pay taxes, you have to pay insurance, and if you don't pay any of those things, you won't have a home. So we have to
right,
understand that we're fighting capitalism, and we have to start supporting our communities, keeping first and foremost our finances in our communities for longer than 6 hours to a day. We have to start buying things from our people, even if they cost a little more sometimes. That's our problem. We have to start there. It's all economic here in America. Everything is economic based, and if we don't have a strong economy, and if we don't help each other out economically, we're never going to succeed. We're never going to gain the political power that we need. So politically, we have to, you know, vote for our people in office on city council. We have to go to these type, and then we have to understand the system first and foremost before we can counteract any of that stuff. One of the things
Mhm.
that I'm pushing for here is that our children should have an African language in school. It's just disrespectful that you have to learn all these other languages and you never have a language that we can call our own to communicate with each other in our own way. And I feel like it's totally by design, because they don't want us to connect with Africa at all. You know, you guys are, well, brother Ori, I know you're around my age. When we were growing up, we didn't want to be African. They would, if you call black people African, they would want to fight you, and they would come up with these names like African booty scratcher and all of these other weird, you know, oh yeah, that's the type of stuff they would call
Yeah,
you. And then you have these movies like Tarzan, where the white guy is running the jungle, and then they had Cleopatra as a white woman, when how could she be from Egypt? And so you know, the media plays a part in this. You know, I know you guys all know about that famous experiment where the black children picked the white doll every time and thought that was the good doll and the black doll was the bad doll. You know, all of
yes.
these social experiments that they have conditioned us with, we've got to get out of that. And so it's so much deeper than the surface that
right,
we're dealing with. But little things do help. You know, the music is healing. Music is healing. It's always been healing for us. And yes, we have some negative hip hop music out here, but there's lots of positive things that you can do with the music, and not just hip hop. All music. I feel like music is a gift. Any art. You know, we have to get back into the arts. They took it away from our schools a long time ago here, and it's just
Here
now
too.
becoming to beginning to come. My daughter goes to a school for the arts, and it's a beautiful thing for her. But all the schools don't have that.
right,
So the arts are integral. The whole child is integral. We can't just focus on academics. We have to address the whole child, and that also means healthy eating. that's one of the places we have to start. We have to get off of this sugar, which is the biggest drug pusher, is the pusher of the sugar. The sugar is so horrible for our bodies, and a lot of salt as well. So we have to start, getting back to whole foods, and eating organic when they're all possible, lots of fresh vegetables and fruits, getting out of these, potato chips and sodas for breakfast, and that just makes the mind less fertile, and able
It
to
does.
process information. So, the Panthers used to come and feed us, man, when we were young out here. The Panther Party with Black Panther Party for self defense. We always forget that part of the. It's called the Black Panther Party for self defense. That was the name of the whole Black Panther Party. But we forget that part, and it was,
Hmm.
and they had beautiful programs, schools, food. A lot of people only think about them as carrying the guns. Man, they did some beautiful work, and I was able to see it as a really young age, to see some of the things and be a part of the food programs. And I wasn't old enough to go to the Panther school, but we were around a lot of the Panthers, and that it brought a sense of pride to our neighborhoods and to our community. And we have to have pride. That's the thing. We have to be proud of who we are, and we have to not always want to chase what America has put down. We have to remember that America is stolen land and stolen people. That's not really the real America's not even really the real deal. They stole
Right.
the land, and then they came and stole our people to work the land, and eventually, this land they call America will be no more like all the other empires that have fallen. It will fall as well, and maybe the people will regain that at some point. But while we're here and while we're in this, we have to work together, and that's just a few of the ways I feel like we can heal ourselves. But it's a tall task. It's a very tall task.
Okay. Well, we got Eddie. He said, "Greetings to all. Is all
Hey,
about
Eddie.
grassroots and Latin." He's talking about for language, and it's all about programming, which is actually correct. And I wanted to point out, which everybody doesn't think about sugar and as processed sugar. And there's a difference between sugar. The processed sugar is addictive, just like cocaine.
Yes,
Uh,
ma'am.
and the thing is, if you look up scientifically, it's one molecule from crack. One molecule. One.
Woo!
But then
That's
again,
deep.
just like margarine, they was first it used to be butter. Now you got
Hmm.
margarine. Margarine is one molecule from plastic. So what you eating is actually plastic.
But
So
remember
you're not
Coca-Cola.
eating
Coca-Cola was made with cocaine.
right. Back day, how they discovered Pepsi and Coke was from the plant, the cocoa plant, cocaine.
Yep.
So you had to get it from a pharmacy. It wasn't like you can go in the bottles of store. They had to take that out when it came to market here. But this has been in the market, but people don't realize when the people were actually in slavery, to put a point, um, they would give them cocaine to keep them up working the field. That is in your DNA and down your DNA line. So that's why you're more susceptible to be addicted to a drug, which
Wow,
people don't realize. That's what they gave them. They gave them coke to
that's
get
deep.
them to function, to get them to do more and get up. And then, so you're working more, you're working harder. So you keep giving them that, and it's in their DNA. It becomes that it's very easy to be addicted to
What
because the
about
more you do it,
caffeine? What is caffeine similar? How do you feel about caffeine?
uh,
I know we say coffee with Oreo. I'm not. I'm just. But I just want to know.
Look.
no,
I drink like 4 cups of coffee a day.
Ooh.
Black coffee,
yeah,
no sugar.
okay. I'm going to be real frank out here. Caffeine is really addictive, but it has its purpose, just like everything does, and even Coke, it has its medicinal purposes.
Right.
But
Right.
the way we have it, we use it wrong. Even tobacco is used in society for spiritual purpose, but
Yes.
it's
Yes.
done without the chemicals. It has a healing in medicine. So everything in the plant is medicine. It's just that we have devalued that plant and made it um addictive and poisonous to the body.
Hmm.
So caffeine, I'm gonna be real. I love coffee. I have to have my coffee. And I don't mean American brown water coffee. That's not the coffee I grew up with. My pop-up used to have this coffee and put the eggshells in it. So yeah, there's white eggshells he would do with the ground. So it was real
Okay.
coffee. So it's different for me now. Uh, my brother here, Ori, sent me some coffee. I cherish his coffee. I have certain
I was just
coffees I
thinking
like,
that I was just thinking I got to send you more coffee.
right? I have a certain brand that I like, and I'm being real. Like I grew up drinking real coffee. American coffee, I don't like. I've
Hmm.
always had the cappuccino, always had the espresso coffee. I probably would. My friend said I probably would like Turkish coffee because I like my coffee so strong. She
Yeah, I've
was
had
like,
Turkish
I
coffee
have to
before.
have 4 shots for me. 4 shots of espresso
Oh,
is like one coffee for me. So I grew up drinking coffee like that. So I might add a little cream, meaning and a little sugar and a lime. So you scrape the lime and you put the peel. So it's different ways, or a little orange peel. That's the way I grew up drinking coffee. That is from my nona. That's not. So that's different the way Americans, when they're drinking their tea, I can't stand my tea with milk. I like
mhm.
my tea with lemon and honey
Dr.
because
D, where are you from, Dr. D? Because I thought you was from California, but you saying coffee. You ain't originally from California. Where are you originally from? I caught it. I caught it like, oh, she ain't from California. We don't say coffee. You from the East Coast. Come on. Where you
yes,
from?
I was born in Philadelphia.
Okay, yeah, you definitely
Okay, so I was born in Philadelphia, but I've been raised all over the place. So the thing is that I have a home, but my home is right now is California. It's only recently.
Mhm.
So I keep coming back, but I'm not from here.
That's
I've
all
been
right.
living in Banning, and matter of fact, I was in the military. I was in Concord, California. I
Mhm.
used to live in Alameda, not
Oh
too far.
wow.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, so I know there.
Oh yeah.
So I've been in Alameda. Used to catch the train. Found out about Oakland's BART system, stuff
Hmm.
like that. Berkeley, and was in Richmond, pregnant with my daughter. So yeah, I was in California for a little bit, but I
Oh
went
wow.
back home for a little bit on the East Coast, and the East Coast is not me. My mom said the West Coast. I didn't act like an East Coast person because I'm walking around in Bermuda shorts and short sleeves and thinking that it's summertime in the winter. She said something wrong with you.
Well, I wanted to see. So I recently I did a cleanse. That's why I'm to ask you guys about coffee because I was an avid coffee drinker every day, and I drank coffee strong like you, Doctor D. Like people would be like, "This is mud." Like, no, this is the way I drink my coffee. But I did put sugar in mine and cream. So, 'cause I have diabetes, so I had a lot of sugar. I was really addicted to sugar, and now when I did
Well,
my cleanse, I've been able to get off of sugar, and
okay.
I think I might have had coffee 3 times in the last year. And what I've been able to do is just be able to take a nap because I'm home now. My body wants to take a nap every day. I sleep like 3 to 4 hours a night. I'm one of those kind of people. I'm always working.
Right.
But when I was teaching, obviously I couldn't sleep during the day, so I was drinking that coffee every day, and
Yep.
so But when I got off, I didn't have any of the headaches or anything like some people tell. Some people tell me they have horrible headaches when they don't drink coffee, and they just have to have it. So I didn't have that experience,
Hmm.
but I'm just wondering about because now when I drink coffee now, oh my god, I can barely handle it. My body has
You
weaned
know.
off of it, and it affects me in such a way. Like I can drink maybe really weak coffee now will give me the same buzz I was getting when I was drinking that really thick coffee. So when I need it, I'll drink a little coffee, but not anymore. And so I'm wondering about if you guys know about the effects of coffee on your body, because I don't really know a lot about it. I just know I was drinking coffee because everybody else drank coffee. It was free at my job. I drank coffee every
Well, yes. The medicinal purpose for you can use coffee as an enema, as a coffee cleanse. They talk about that, and when you're fighting cancer, that is
Mm.
one of the things from Gerson's therapy that he would encourage everybody to do is a coffee enema.
Okay.
And there's the high enema and a low enema. See, I work with Dr. Thomas Lodi from Mesa, California, in the cancer clinic there, and that was one of the things. I had a private guy from Brentwood, California, wherever that's at, that I was his personal chef, and I was also worked for Dr. Thomas Lodi, where I got to implement some of my cancer treatments that I do, from Bach to flower essence and all that other stuff. And we did enemas, and I would have him do a colonics, but I told him first, I really feel you need to do a coffee enema. And I have
Mm.
there's certain ways, a process that you have to brew the coffee, the certain way that you have to do the, the enema. It's a process, as well as doing what I would implement as a castor oil pack
Wow.
for that. So it's a whole process when you're going through that cancer therapy that I worked, that I got more cancer. That's what I was known for in Arizona. Somebody found me, don't know. And all I used to talk about, you can repair your DNA and RNA code. And this is what it does. And you do that. If you could do that,
Mhm.
and of course my daughter was alive at the time, so she was doing a lot of programming, or the SEOs, the search engine in Google. I didn't know what it
Uh-huh.
was, but that's how she got me clients, is sending them to my website, and they would say DNA and RNA. So all anybody knew is I deal with cancer, diabetes, you name it. We
Wow.
reverse, because I tell people all diseases can be reversed, because all diseases are is basically a mucus, an
Yeah. Yeah.
inflammation. It
Inflammation.
starts
That's
off
right.
with a plug. When you get that plug and it's inflammation and mucus, it builds up and it gets hard. Even
Hmm.
tumors are just nothing but hard masses of mucus that's built up. Now, there's some masses that comes with parasites,
Yeah.
like fibroids are actually really breeding parasites of a mucus plug with things that we eat, because it's not being cleansed or properly, meaning they're not being cooked. I remember back in the day, my nanny would say, you know what, you got to fry that pork to a certain degree because you can get trichomonas. I bet you people don't even know what trichomonas is. It's a tapeworm that goes through your body. If the
Mhm.
it's the and it feeds and it goes in your body, in your bloodstream. So how are you going to get rid of that? These are things. That's why our parents back in the day, or great grandparents, they would have the spring clean, the summer cleanse,
Mhm.
all these things. We do take the tar, and you would take the tar and take that, and that would clean you out. You drinking pine tea for that to open up your
That
respiratory
that
rhythm.
that castor oil, like you said, that castor oil, man. My grandma used to
Yeah.
make us drink that castor oil. Boy.
Yep. You got your cod liver oil. I mean, I know all of these things. These are back in the day, but we take for granted. The things we call hemorrhoids are actually piles back in the day. That's like, oh, you
Mm.
got piles. Now it's called, oh, to make it make so sophisticated, you have hemorrhoids. You still have piles. It's just got a different sophisticated name on it.
And we
I'm just
probably
bringing
had a
it.
lot that we lost when we came here, but we were able to keep some because I know our ancestors were true healers, and they didn't need pharmaceuticals. They used the planet, the earth, and I mean, and everything that these people put in the drugs now are from the earth, but they just mix so many other things with them.
Right.
Mhm.
And you have all these
Something.
weird side effects. I don't know. Now they have to tell you what the side effects are. I don't know if you guys have ever seen some of these shows, but the one I saw recently said may cause suicidal tendencies
Oh,
or gambling.
Huh?
Gambling.
yeah,
Have you seen
gambling,
that one? I was
No.
like,
gambling.
gambling for
Mhm.
they have to put that on the TV as an ad. It may cause gambling. I said, now y'all need to get out of here and leave that alone. And they pumping it up like it's a good thing to take. What kind you may cause suicide and gambling? Who want to take that?
Okay, well, I'll give you another example. You got cancer. What is the first thing they tell you you need?
I'm not sure what the first thing they say, but I know they come with that chemo thing later.
There you go. What is chemo?
Well, radiation is going to break down everything in your body, the good and the bad.
Um, right. But it right. So, but then again, so they're not giving you. Um, They're not giving you a viable thing that you can take. And there's things that can be done. Now, emotionally, do people don't realize where cancer comes from. It's every effect that you have in your body comes from some kind of emotion that
Mm.
you've had in your physical exterior or connection to it. I tell people if you have cancer, you got anger that you're dealing with, and that's what I was telling with the young man that I was dealing with from Brentwood.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I don't have no anger. And he had a, he's big, he's big league, he's up there, and he has money. And he says, I don't understand. I built my company. I'm this fitness guy, and I'm this, I'm that. And I'm like, okay, all I hear is Spirit saying anger, anger,
Mm.
anger. And then he says, oh yeah, but I did this. And I said, but yeah, but did you let go the anger of how you got there, and celebrate your success and give gratitude? And he says, I do this for people. I said, oh, so you're not doing it out of the kindness of your heart. You're doing it with a string attached. So anytime you can jerk somebody's train. I was like, so you're being resentful. So I'm one of those. I was one of those chefs. So I was much bigger. So I don't care. You going to come at me, and I'm going to feel my weight, and I'm going to let you know where I'm coming from. So his reflection was, I was a good chef and cook and was helping him and holistic, and he liked it for 3 weeks, and he got this girl on his arm, and it cost more money. So he said, you know what, since you're chunky and everything and you're overweight, maybe I can help you, because I can take you to California and help you lose weight. I was like, let me tell you why I have my weight. And he said, why? I said, because I'm dealing with emotional issues that I've been running from. I know why my weight is the way it is, because when I'm ready to deal with it, I will deal with it. And I'm not ready to deal with it. And it keeps me guarded from other people. It
Mm.
helps me make other people stay back and not hurt me. That was my shield. And once that I got comfortable, I knew where it came from and what I didn't want. So that did affect my body. But when I told him, he looked at me like, wow. I said, baby, I was a bodybuilder at 17 and 18 years old and 19. When I went into the military, I had a bodybuilt body. I was like, I just stopped after that. I said, but I know where my weight comes from. And I said, and I don't need your help. When it's for me, it'll be for me. And he's like, wow, like, oh, I thought I was doing you a favor. I said, no, you're not doing me a favor. I'm happy. You need me more than I need you. And the gentleman, because he had this pretty young girl on his arm, when you got money and you older, you want to get the 22-year-old, and she just buying pocketbooks and the money. So I said, you're resentful because she is healthy and you feel your fear of dying. That's another
Mm.
thing that's going to hinder your recovery. See, I didn't know back then that I was reading. I was just speaking it as it comes. So I hurt his male pride. And that was not my intention. My intentions was I'm here to heal. But when you reflect and try to hurt me, that sissy field come, I'm gonna push back. And when I push back, I'm gonna beat you like I got a whip in my hand and I'm the
Okay.
master. So I don't take no prisoners. And that's what he got. Unfortunately, he sat and he actually went in the bathroom and he sat there after I finished with him. He was crying. That was not my intentions. And I just said, I don't think I should come and be this anymore, because I'm hurting your feelings.
Mm.
And the goal was to help you. And I'm not helping you. And I want to be able to help you heal. And if I'm not an appropriate person, I'm gonna find somebody that can be the person that you want them to be. But I'm not a bendable. I don't bend. And he's like, wow. So it did hurt his pride. He called me back before he left, and he said it took him about 3 months to work on what I said, but it hurt him to his heart because I was truthful. But what it did is it made him apologize to his mama,
Okay.
who was from Colombia. He got rid of the fancy dancy girlfriend that was all about money that I told him about. When you're here and you're going at your worst, the person that's supposed to be your mate is supposed to support you at your worst, not be up there spending your money and saying, where's my credit card? If you want somebody that's sincere, then you got to see where they're coming from. Every time their hand is out, You're paying. Basically, you're just paying to have somebody in your corner. And I've been there and done that. I've paid people in my family to be my family. How do you do that?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? That's the question. You do, because that's what the comfortable is like. I want them in my life, so I'm gonna pay for them to have them in my life. So that's why I want to make sure our youth growing up don't get that in their stereotype that they have to pay for other people to be in their life to see that they're worth something. But what I wanted to leave with him, he's worth something with her, without her. Even though he has this ailment, if he can conquer the anger, he's 50% there. If you can change your attitude about the love that you have for yourself, he's 75% there. Walk you through the program. I had a gentleman that did it all. We walked through him. He was stage 4 cancer, went to stage 1 working with me, but then got to a point and said, he said, I'm 68 years old. I'm doing all this work with you. I'm ready to let it go. And
Mm.
his wife called me and said, Sussy, he said he doesn't want to continue to do the work. He appreciated all you did, but that was it. And he died. And she was the one that called me and said thank you. As from what I taught them, she actually was doing out there in Mesa. I didn't realize what I was doing. When I'm invested in you, I'm invested in you, and I want to help you. I do it from my heart. I don't care about anything else. I want you to heal. I want to help you. I want to make a difference. That's always been my goal as a kid. Make a difference in someone's life, that I leave something behind, that no matter what we're going through, that it inspires them to move on.
You
That I
know
make a
what?
difference.
What I was thinking, like we, we as people are so competitive. I think we need to start being competitive and doing good for each other. Let's see who can do the best for the community. How about we get competitive around that? We're always competitive around sports and who can get the best looking women or the nicest. Let's get competitive about how we can heal our community. I like to have a competition about that. That just came to mind when you were talking for some reason. Like I think we ought to have a do good for the community competition.
That would be good. See, there was, I don't know, you ever hear of Queen of Four?
I don't know. I'm not familiar.
Queen of Four has this Heal Thyself Center in Brooklyn, New York. I was part of that Heal Thyself Center in Brooklyn, New York. So she was the first one to actually expose me to the Russian bathhouse. Do you know what a Russian bathhouse is?
No, I'm not. I've heard of a bathhouse, but the Russian, particularly, no.
You know what a Russian bathhouse is, Ori?
Yeah, where they beat you with the damn.
It's more than that, smarty pants.
Oh,
They
no,
beat
that
you
I've
with,
seen that. I've
yeah.
seen
Well, yeah.
that. Okay.
It's like a bathhouse, but it's for purification.
Right, you purify. So I met her. So we went through purification from the heat to the cold to the sweat. You
Hmm.
go through different temperatures. That's why I like Korean bathhouse. It was Bim Bin Jang, which I love. I had the best time, best 10 days of staying in Korea in my life. I went to like 3 different bathhouses. I was taking pictures, going in there. They was doing the scrubs, the whole 9 yards. I had the best time. And you can see I was at my most healthy, because that's the kind of lifestyle I kind of like. That's the lifestyle I like.
That's
Okay,
right.
I ain't gonna lie about it. But I learned from her that lifestyle of purification, detoxification. So I learned that, and then about how to build my own from Dr. Kloss, where you have this sweat. Dr. Kloss wrote the book Back to Eden, and he had a sanctuary
Good
what
book.
you do to him. And you would take this sweat, this steam, and you would sweat under this bulb, your whole body, and you would get the ailments and everything and
Yeah, yeah.
the out of your body,
That's
which
that's
I
like the grandmama and them with the vaporizer. Put your head in the vaporizer
right.
and get the. Yep, I
Right.
remember
So
that.
this is about healing. So that's where I learned a lot of this from. And she had something where she wanted everybody to what they learned there with her to go out in their community and teach it. She said, each one teach one. And
Yeah.
then there's a gentleman by the name of Supernova. Supernova's a young man, it's her son. he raps about healing thyself and the health remedies. These are the people that I knew, and they were talking about the Bloods and the Crips and getting them together and come together. And that's when I was saying, you know what? Like you were saying, I was like, why are y'all fighting over the street? And the street at the end of the day is not yours. Because at
Not
the end of the
yours.
day, the tax man come and they go collect their taxes. What you gonna do? And
Mm-mm-mm.
they're like, what? So at the time, my mate, he was part of us, our set, and he see me arguing with them, telling them this is not their land and they need to stop fighting. See, I didn't come from that background of hustle. I didn't know what it was. I was coming from the Poconos. All I knew was this is we got to come together. We got to stop fighting. We got to love each other. We got to do this. So my mate at the time, Ali, picked me up and just said, "You got to excuse my wife. She don't know no better. Like this, making excuses for me." Well, after that, by me being that passionate to them, and I took both of their hands and put it together and said, this is your brother and this is your brother. You just from another mother and father. We need to learn and love each other. The women you're saying this is your block. If this is your block, what are you doing? You got this Heal Thyself Center here that is about to help you and want to show you how to do this. Supernova, Baba Haru, they were getting together and getting these men to get together and actually talk and actually come together, and they started having meetings. See, I didn't know what it was at the time. I just knew that they needed to come together because that's as human need. My mate picks me up and puts me upstairs. He's like, you're gonna get killed. You don't understand what you're doing. But I tell you this, I had a van, and when there was meetings going on, I had a little DVD player in the back. My kids would actually sit in my SUV and watch the DVD player, and my door would be open. They would watch Lacey and Corey to the bodega to go to the store and back. They would say, that's that's Miss C's kid, Lacey and them, and they would watch out for them.
Wow.
I remember that. They watched out for my kids. My car, I could leave my car open. Nobody broke into my car in
You
Brooklyn, New York, downtown on Dean Street. They never broke into my car. I didn't worry about it because he said, you can't be treated like you live in the Poconos where you leave your door open and you leave your keys. Because they see me. I left the door and the roof was open. I went right in the house. And he's like, you not worried? I said, worried about what? And he said, you can't do that in Brooklyn. I was like, why can't I? I can do that anywhere I want to. See, I have a different mentality. That's not how I'm thinking. It's the energy that you bring, and the more they see and the more you can touch, you can make an effect on each individual by just one thing: trusting in spirit, but trusting in your humanity, that they see your heart, that you're not trying to take something, you're trying to give them something. That's what I got from that. Learning that we all can be a vanguard in our community. So how do we set that up? Getting together, talking, um, having a meeting. We've gotten out of having. Remember whenever there was block watches, and they would walk down up and down the street, and they would take turns watching the block so nobody got robbed.
That's
Or
right.
you knew your neighbor. This is Paul. This is Sue. This is that. We don't have that community connection anymore because we have lost it, of not knowing where we come from, but also what we are of value to each other. We have value in our community. So I figure let's each one teach one. You
You
got
know,
somebody that you teach, do it. I'm
I
sorry, go
just
ahead.
want to say that we had that. I mean, I can vividly remember crack cocaine coming in and destroying our communities like that, where we used to know everybody on the block, and when when the crack cocaine came and the people started selling on the corners, or the kids were afraid to come outside, and or the parents were afraid to let the kids outside, and the elders were getting disrespected for the first time, or some of them were even using the crack. It just devastated our communities. Even though we didn't have a lot, we had each other at that
Right.
time. And when crack came, it divided the communities. And I know it wasn't just here in Oakland; it was all over. from people I know who talked about, but this is where I saw it happen at, and it was just like you were talking about. We would leave our doors open all the time, cars, park keys be in there. Nobody would come and bother it. Everybody on the block knew each other. Nobody would even think to rob from your neighbors. And then when the crack cocaine thing came, wow, it really did change a whole lot in our communities. And some people say it was by design, and that could be
Mm-hmm.
true. But
Mm-hmm.
but ain't nobody made you take it. So we gotta take ownership for our part as well for taking those drugs. And I'm not gonna. I mean, I smoked some crack and stuff when I was younger, and when weed and all of that type of stuff. I'm like the brother. I've never been able to get. I've never got addicted to anything except sugar. Sugar's the only thing I got addicted to that I had to wean myself off of. But I tried some of everything growing up. But like he was saying earlier, it just wasn't for me, and so I
Right.
didn't own that. But I know so many people with bright futures that were all wiped away by crack. And I'm talking about beautiful, talented people, the prom queens and the basketball stars and the neighborhood and the smartest guys, and girl, just devastated, never came back from it.
Right. It's an
That's
addiction.
that's the
Addiction.
ego, though. I think it's the ego because the
What do you
ego
mean?
gets the best of you. The ego.
Mm,
A lot of people, um, a lot of this stuff that goes on, okay, in neighborhoods. I grew up with blacks and Hispanics. I didn't grow up in white neighborhood. So I grew up with the saying, niggas and sticks stick together. That's how I grew up.
okay.
Okay. I have nephews and nieces that I have black, and I love everybody. I love my family. But I remember that, which is something that, which is a question in what I'm going to say. There's a question in it for you, because I also want your information. I want you to process, to write it up. Like if people want to donate, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna push for you.
Well,
I'm
that's
gonna
beautiful,
push for
brother.
you
That's beautiful. Thank you.
because I have and I want says you can connect them with my Facebook and because I have over 5,000 followers. Okay, from all over the world, Brazil, from everywhere I travel. And these people have money and they want a cause. But I remember when I was growing up, right? My mom used to go into the school, right, in the evening, and my mom used to help the like a teacher with the files. Okay,
Mm,
and then
okay.
she used to also come into the school and help the cafeteria people. Like mothers used to do that, and some mothers
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they used to go to the classes and
That's
help the
right.
teachers. What the hell happened to that?
Well, then kind of you have to. They had to make the moms work. Back then maybe there was they didn't the mom didn't have to work so much, and so they could go in the classrooms. But I don't really know. Like there's still a lot of volunteer stuff going on, but mostly in the private schools where the mother doesn't have to have a job and the husband makes a lot of money. And in the private schools, I mean, in public schools, there's a little bit. We do have a little bit there, with parents coming in, they ask us to come do certain things. So it is involvement because it's circular. We got to all be connected. The teacher, the family, the child, all has to be on
But I
on the same, almost on the same page, at
but
least
I
as close as
think I
possible.
think it's a fear though. I think that this all of this stuff that's happening, and this is why people are going crazy. They're going crazy. A lot of Karens out there, a lot of them,
Woo,
and
yeah.
and
We got
and
Becky's out here.
Becky's and Karens, and yeah, Charles. I mean, what I've realized is that they're afraid.
Yeah,
They're afraid because they are no longer the majority; they're the minorities. But they've been the minorities for many years.
on the planet, of course. Yeah, on the
So
planet.
they just realized it. They just
Mm,
realized it. You understand? Um, I believe this is why I'm glad that a lot of Ethiopia is asking the museums in Britain, Great Britain, to give them back their
That's
stuff.
right. That's right.
And
How
I
about
believe
that?
that every country should demand their stuff back.
And they
You
need to
know what
go
I'm
to the
saying?
Vatican and get their stuff from them too.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you something, brother. The Vatican, the Ethiopian Church in Ethiopia is the only. The Vatican has been trying to get their hands on their Bible, and they will never give it up because
Good for them.
it's one of the original Bibles that was created before the books were taken out and before it was translated.
Come on now. There you go. The
And
real
that's in
deal.
Ethiopia.
The real deal.
And
Yeah.
Ethiopia has the original Jews.
Yeah.
Okay. But yet these white Jews will hire them to come to Jerusalem, and then they would treat them like slaves and beat them. And this is going on. This is going on. Okay, in the world.
Wow.
We have the most human trafficking in the world here, we in the United States. And the United States government knows it. They don't care because they're minorities. They only care when it's white girls.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not trying to. I'm not trying to blame or put the finger on race, but you know, when you look at things, you know, when I go anywhere, I can, you know, people are very kind, but I have an accent. So when I open my mouth and I'm talking in Spanish, and they look at me like, "What the hell?" You know, and I'm very verbal, you know, about things. I'm very verbal about helping my people. You know, I don't have a problem. I speak my mind, and I don't walk around with fear. Like I said, because I was born and raised in North. I've seen people get shot in the head. Literally, I was there. I've seen men burn themselves like gasoline, pour gasoline on themselves, and light themselves on fire. And all I did was sit there and watch because the mind was already so whacked out. You understand?
Wow.
So it's a lot of things that I've seen and experienced, but the beauty that I used to see with communities are no longer there. Like I grew up in an era where I went to a predominantly black school, and they were always around. You know, it was predominantly black only because it was the projects. But I was born and raised. I was born in the projects. I wasn't raised in the project, but I was born in the project. So um, I remember that the kids, most of the black kids used to always say, you know, we always had a lot in the morning come over my house early in the morning. Early in the morning, my mother always prepared tea with milk, toast, and eggs or something, but every morning. So there was like 10 kids from
Wow.
my school that used to come from the neighborhood, and they come to our house to eat breakfast, and then we all walk to school together. So we kind of grew up together, and you don't have that anymore. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
yeah, the kids don't even go to school in their own neighborhood anymore. We all used to walk to school together the same way. You'd come down the block and see everybody walking to school. Yeah, they all go to different schools, or they close schools in the neighborhoods and tell you have to go to this one. They have these lottery systems and weird programs for the schools. So that destroys the community too. You know, you're not working with the same people, you know, that you see every day, and you know, you don't even know where they live. You used to go to school, like, oh, I'm gonna go over such a house after school, and your mama know who you're talking about, and you're okay, yeah, I know their parents, it's good, you can go over there. You don't even see that anymore. Like, you're
No,
right
you
about that.
don't. You don't. And the thing is that, but there are people like you that are changing the system, and because you're working on
I'm
changing the
just being a
system,
part, man. And this
one,
beautiful place I live in, Oakland, man. Well, we've got a lot of community builders out here, brother. I mean, we got the spirit of the Black Panthers here with us. We have a African marketplace that we go to every second Sunday. We have the flea markets, and then we have a lot of healers here, man. It's so beautiful. I've just been, you know, becoming aware of all the healers we have, man. The acupuncturists and the herbalists and the food practitioners. We have it. It's all here. We just have to search for it. Like, if you don't know where to look, you don't know. And that's what I'm trying to do. I might not be doing all the work, but my job is to bring all that together and bring the people who don't know about it to those things that they need that they might not even know that they need. You
There's a
know.
lot of them things, and there was a lot of that in Harlem.
Oh
And
yeah,
but now Harlem is becoming very Caucasian, and
gentrification.
that's the problem. That's what's happening because they take a neighborhood and then they see that one moves in, one, and remember they used to always say that Hispanics and blacks are like cockroaches. They multiply. They multiply because they go into one place and then they bring in their cousin and then they bring in their friend, and then they're buying this house, and they're buying this house, and they're buying this house. By the time you look, the whole neighborhood is all
Yeah.
Caucasian.
You know,
And
it wouldn't be so bad if they actually respected the culture that was already there before they came. But man, I don't know what it's like out there in Florida, but man, we had a big gentrification thing from San Francisco and people moving to Oakland. And do you know these people would come and then they'd call the police, like it's too loud. You know, they called the police on a church one Sunday morning, said it was too loud. You moved right next door to a church. What did you think was going to happen? A Baptist church. What did you think was going to happen on Sunday morning? Why would you move next to a Baptist church? You know, and I just thought that was the oddest thing. And you know, we had the thing with the barbecue Becky. I don't know if you heard about the barbecue. Yeah,
in the park,
yeah, at the park here at Lake Merritt. People just out there
Lord,
barbecue and she didn't call. But you know what? It turned into the biggest block party for months. We took
yes,
over that lake,
yes.
bro, and the police wouldn't even come in there. And I mean, it was a beautiful thing how we be gathered together. And that's the spirit that is out here in Oakland. So I feel very lucky to be here. I know it's not like that all over the world. I have some people down south and it's just horrendous for them. They just
But it's
don't.
fear, though. It's fear. I remember growing up, right in Newark, we had the day of the Puerto Rican parade, right? We used to have the Puerto Rican parade downtown Newark. And then after the Puerto Rican parade, and in New York, they had it, they have it a different day. But the one in Newark, they would have it in Newark. And then they would end up in Branchbrook Park, which is one section. It's big park, but it was by the lions because it's two lions and it's the water. And then from the back, all the way in the back, what you can see is the cathedral. Now it's called the Basilica.
Hmm.
And every year that went on for many, many, many years, and talking about blacks and Hispanics partying, music, food, the works. And one year, the cops started to go in there in the crowd with horses,
Wow.
and the horse trampled a pregnant woman and killed her.
No, no, no.
And you want to see people get together,
Whew.
you want to see blacks and Hispanic get together. They turned over cop cars and burned them.
Yeah,
This was in the 70s.
yeah.
And I remember that. And it's really weird because when you look at things and you look at where we've been to where we've come, although some people may say that they don't have fear, there is fear instilled in them. And the fear of succeeding is the biggest fear of all.
Ooh, come on now. There you go. You hit it right on the head.
Okay, because
Oh wow.
I was reading someone today, and I was explaining to the brother about his life, and he was like, "How do you know that?" And I explained to him about what surrounded him, and I said, he said, "But what is my biggest problem?" I said, "Your biggest problem is psychologically. You have embedded in your head you're afraid to succeed because you were locked up, you became institutionalized, and every now and then when you know you're free, but you're free from here, from your mouth out, but in here you're still institutionalized,
Wow.
and you don't believe that you're going to make anything of yourself. But look at how far you've come."
Mm-hmm.
I said, you got to get over that fear.
It's real.
That's the problem in America. The minorities have this fear, not just blacks, Hispanics do too. They have that fear and they settle. What are you doing?
Look
You
like she
cooking?
about to start cooking some. Well, I'm gonna have to say for me, I'm gonna have to leave very soon because my stomach is growling, and when she came out with that, man, it just reminded me that I haven't eaten dinner yet, and it's around 8 o'clock out here almost. But I see she about to put it down. I wish I was out there where she was at. I don't know what she about to make, but it looked like it's about to go down over there.
I'm about to make a sweet potato palm, vegan
Okay,
Sweet,
sweet
well,
potato palm with
sweet,
agave.
sweet potato what?
Palm, Pone.
What is that?
that's like a sweet potato pie without the crust.
There
Oh,
you go.
okay.
You got it.
Okay. And
I
I
know
was
what
getting
it is.
and I was gonna make myself some corn fritters.
Yeah, yeah. My wife made some dinner, so I'm going to go get some dinner. But I just want to say first and foremost, thank you guys for allowing me to come. And I just had the greatest time just building. What a pleasure to meet you, brother. We definitely have to stay connected. I'm on Facebook as well, so we'll definitely have to connect on there. And I got about 5,000 friends too, so we can put our friends together.
Yeah, in my my Facebook will say um Tony Omi Falade.
Oh,
Omi
okay.
Falade was is my spiritual name. Omi
Respect due,
Falade.
respect due. Well, mine is Naru Quina right there. You might be easier for you to find
Naru.
me.
Yeah. Well, I'll find you when you just see when you see Tony and then Omi Falade is me.
Oh, okay.
You
You sent
know,
me
so
some
that you
already.
can
Okay,
because
great.
I'm always because every day I post up affirmations and every day I post up a word, saying to inspire and what to do to work on. And most of people sometimes say like, well, you sound depressed and you're putting all this stuff up. I'm like, no, my page is private. Whatever people send me, I'm the one that posts.
Okay, that's right.
So whatever I post, I post. But I actually have a friend. I have a friend whose son is actually filming a movie in Morristown, New Jersey.
Beautiful.
He wrote a book, this brother. Now they lived in the projects. He wrote this book, and the brother's young, he's in his 20s, and he just got himself, they're just making the movie now.
Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Good for him,
So,
man.
there's a lot of brothers out in Jersey that are starting to realize, you know what I'm saying? Here, there's a big problem because the problem is not between the American blacks. The problem is between the blacks and the Haitians.
Mm, okay.
Because the Haitians don't seem to like the American blacks,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's too bad.
and every time, you every day there's one found in the car dead, one found in the corner dead, one, and it's like, why? I don't get it. But brother, let me tell you something. The vision I saw is real. What I
Okay.
told you is real.
Okay. I'm I'm
So
I'm
so
right with
just remember the minute you see yourself climbing, just know that there is big brothers watching.
you. Hmm.
Big brother's watching. Big brother has allowed you to get to this point. They don't want to allow you to get to this point. Because
That's
when you
right.
get to this point and you can get the community together and you get people to interact together, that to them scares them.
Well, they're gonna have to just be scared because I'm not afraid. So
Amen.
I'm at peace with who I am and what I've done on this planet, and I know I still have more work to do. And when it's my time to go, it's my time to go, and I'll go quietly if I need to, or kicking and screaming and fighting if I have to.
There you go. But I'll tell you one thing, you know what? Let's keep in touch because
We have to.
you're an amazing human being.
We have to.
You have an amazing spirit, and your kindness for humanity is amazing.
Well, thank you, brother.
Just
Thank you.
keep up
I
the good work,
appreciate it.
keep
And
up the good work because it's very
look
important.
at Dr. D.
I know she's like going to town.
Dr. D, thank you so
Yeah,
much for having me on your platform today. It has been my extreme honor to be here with the both of you and learn and share with you guys today. And please don't let this be the last time you have me come on, and especially if this brother's on, I definitely want to come back and hear and share more because it's just been fantastic.
Well,
thank you. What I would
yeah.
like to say, like I said, Tuesday is going to be our men gathering. When men gather, it's going to be a reoccurring. So if you know some brothers that's really about the work, I would
Hmm.
really would not mind sharing the platform. I mean, I'm not charging right now for this because this is my network. And like I said, the goal is to have a 24.7 hour network, as you heard
Good,
me
good for
healing.
you. Good for you.
So that is the end goal. So if I can heal or reach out and find someone that is going to bring some comfort to the people, that is actually saying, you know what, Dr. D, I'm willing to take up that baton of when men gather and it'd be their show. That I don't, because I'm not a man, but I'm not just going to give this to anybody that's not going to do the
Mhm.
work. Okay. Um, for those out there, I said I was going to let it be known. There was a person that had a bunch of men that came on, and I'm so honored that Ori stepped up and came on, Brother Naru stepped up and came on and was there to support me. And my brother, always my brother Eddie, always there in the background to support me, for what I do. And just said, Sussy, do what you do. Because right after you said it, I was on my text. Okay, who's do this? And when I got, like you said, I'll be there, I was like, whoo, my brother's like, what? I was like, I felt a relief, but I still felt sad that someone would take this opportunity and not put it forth like it in my heart and made it was not sincere.
Well,
That just
the
hurt my
universe corrected that because they weren't supposed to be here today. That's all
Bingo.
that was,
okay,
and
I got you.
that's
So
just
I
how it goes sometimes. Our plan is not the bigger plan. Sometimes, that it was just meant for us to be here today and have the conversations we had today, and tomorrow is a new day. I have a saying
thank
that
you.
actually there is no such thing as tomorrow because as soon as you get there, then it's today.
Bingo.
Right. Thank you. But definitely we will
Bingo.
definitely have you back. But if you know some brothers that would not mind that their Tuesday spend it sitting down and talking with me and how we can come up with more avenues how to heal and what is there to do, like how we can get our kids in school and encourage them. They need this. That's why I'm doing it, because I'm looking for my future prodigies, my grandbabies, and my great grandbabies. What am I leaving? My goal is, says when I leave a legacy behind.
That's right.
So what am I leaving my prodigies? That's me. I've
Mhm.
been thinking about that since a kid. What am I leaving behind? Is it a mess, or is something they can be proud of? Is something they can pass the baton on?
Well, something like this that you recorded and they'll be able to see, that's legacy right there already. That's just a part of it. And
Thank you.
the beauty of what we have now is that when we're doing all the recordings, we can generations can hear the messages still. We go back and listen to the old speeches of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and even Marcus Garvey's and Cesar Chavez and all these other people that left us their roadmaps, their books, so we'll be those people one day. We'll be leaving a
Well,
roadmap for others to follow.
Right.
I'm getting off now because you making me too hungry. I
now,
got
now, Ruth, listen. I'm gonna leave you with this. If you
yes,
ever want to talk about ancestor worshiping and whatever, I'm there
yes, sir.
because
I
I
appreciate.
teach it.
I feel comfortable talking with you. I definitely will because
Because sometimes people make it. They try to stretch something and make it more complicated than what it really is, and it's not that complicated.
no, no. I speak to my ancestors all the time. I'm surrounded by images and also pieces of memorabilia that my ancestors held. So I'm definitely tapped
Wow.
in, and I believe that they protect me at all
They
times.
do. They do.
Hmm.
They
That's
do.
what I believe.
Take care of yourself. Eat.
Thank you guys. Thank you
Thank
Take care.
you.
Be,
all
be
right.
blessed.
Bye
Bye.
All
bye.
right. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you again. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Great gentleman.
yes, it was beautiful. I love that he stepped up. He was early and everything. So what I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys don't know, y'all probably hear the noise in the background. This is a vegan sweet potato palm. which I love. And this comes from my aunt Alice because my papa, or I should say my mama's dad, had I want to say issues with crust. He didn't like crust, so she would make a sweet potato pie,
Didn't they
and
make
it's
corn?
called like a sweet potato pie, but I'm doing it on another level. So for these people out in Radio Land, um, for those people out in Radio Land, hold on, somebody can't find the link. Oh wow, okay. Uh, YouTube. I know it's like multi hands, right? Okay, so that was easy. So you take some sweet potatoes. You can either boil them, or what I like to is roast them, because when you roast sweet potatoes, it brings out an even sweeter, I want to say a sweeter taste into them. I put them in the bowl, as you can see. And what I'm doing is just something simple as mashing them. So in the meantime, I'm making aquafaba. And the aquafaba is chickpeas, or you can use any kind of beans, liquid. And what I did is I add some cream of tartar to that. I also add a little pinch of salt and agave to that. And I put it in my standing mixer and let it go for a while. Now you want this to be really smooth, or you can have it chunky if you don't mind chunks and stuff in it. So you can see I'm smushing it with a fork. I'm doing the old fashioned way. Get some rhythm in there. So you can put butter in it. If you're not vegan, you can use egg whites. If you're not vegan, um, you can still use cinnamon, still use sugar. I put vanilla in it. I don't, not too much of measuring anything. But also, what I am going to do is put some pineapple juice in here. That's different. So that's also what I added to the aquafaba to give it a different like flavors. When I
Mhm.
used to make candy yams, I would use pineapples and apples in my sweet potatoes for what they call candy sweets. So this is what it basically looked like. It looks mashed like mashed pumpkin, but this is not pumpkin, it's a sweet potato. So as you hear in my background, what I have is my aquafaba going. So as soon as that is done, I'm going to add this to this, and I'm going to put it in a pan, and then I'm going to put it in the oven for 350. And what I'm going to do is make a crust, and the crust will be on top with like some walnuts or nuts, any particular nuts you like. If you like pecans, use pecans. If you like almonds, use almonds. If you like walnuts, use walnuts. And you just put it on the top and sprinkle it. It looks really beautiful. It's all about beautiful presentation. So I like it because it's crustless, and I don't eat gluten. I'm not a gluten person. The thing is that I do love, I ain't gonna lie about it. I love my butter. I love my butter and real butter. I ain't talking about that fake stuff. But if you don't, I also use Mimico's butter because I like her butter. Um, I don't like a lot of the other butters like Earth because I have canola oil, which I don't like canola oil. I
You've
don't
been
like palm.
you've been
Palm
cruel. You're being cruel. You're being cruel. You're being cruel because you can't send me some of that, or you can't send me some. You're being cruel.
Well, I'm doing what I can. If you come to the West Coast, I promise I'll make you some.
So
Anybody in the West Coast, if they want to have some, you can always
I'm
order. And
I
you
know
know,
I know people over there watching or listening. They're probably saying, "Damn, she making the stuff and she making me hungry and she ain't gonna give me nothing."
I can't help that. Hold on, here we go. Oh, isn't this beautiful? Beautiful. That's what I'm saying. All righty. Y'all see this? That is from Aquafaba.
Oh, I thought that was like frozen margarita.
Oh gosh, only you would think like that.
But you know, I'm not a drinker like that. I drink white wine, but I'm just from here. It looks like a big picture of frozen margarita.
No. Okay.
Mm.
So to make it easier for me, what
Mm.
I did is I wish I could show it to you. So you take some aquafaba. This is a sweet potato in
Okay.
here, and then you take it and look, that's like blue.
Is that egg white?
No, that's aquafaba. That's why I said this what makes this vegan. And I put cinnamon in it
Yeah,
at the
but
same
what's
time.
But what exactly is aquafaba?
Aquafaba is the bean, is a bean. I'll say the chickpeas. You can use chickpea water with some. Put some egg whites. I'm just trying to make sure that people can see. Can you see it? Okay. So is it's like an egg white, but it's not. It's made with aquafaba. I put my agave in there. I put a cream of tartar in there, and it gives it air and it makes it light.
Mm.
So I'm always like it's I'm always coming up with vegan recipes. You know, it's easy for me to come up with treats and stuff. Like today,
Mm.
so if people look at my blog today, they seen I had a rainbow plate of purple cabbage, yellow squash, and spinach in different colors, brown rice and white rice mixed together. So that's what it's about. Just keep folding in, and just like with egg whites, you want to fold it in, and you don't want to lose the air. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah,
want to lose the air.
that's why you fold.
Right. That's what they see me doing. This is what we call the fold, because you don't want to lose the air from it. And then you grease a pan and you put it on there. And it's going to be fluffy. So it might even look like it's sometimes going to come out looking like a souffle. So it can inflate and deflate. You know what I mean? So,
It took over the whole sweet potato.
mm-hmm.
You can't even see it.
Yeah, it's got color in it. Now it's like, okay, you just keep folding.
So
And you don't want to
do
overfold.
you bake it?
Oh yeah, we're putting this in a pan and we're going to bake it at 350 degrees.
For how many minutes?
We can be about 20, I want to say 20 to 35 minutes. All depends on how hot your oven gets. That's important. And you need to test your oven because some ovens are real hot and some ovens are not real hot. You
Yeah.
know, so you need to know that. So check it about 20 minutes and see what it's like.
Okay. Well, my love, I'm gonna let you go because I gotta go to bed.
Okie dokie.
I
Well,
love you. I love you with my heart and soul, and you know I do.
okay.
You know
Well,
that's
could you
never.
hold on for 1 minute so I can get my pan so they don't think they're like a complete quietness?
Sure, not a problem. Not a
Thank you.
problem.
I appreciate it.
For everyone out there that's been watching the show, you're much appreciated. And just know that Dr. D, she does her best to make everybody happy. So what was all that ruckus? What did you break or throw?
Nothing. A pen just fell.
Oh, I thought you broke something.
Nope, not at all, darling. Not at all. Okay. See, I wanted to come so I can put this
Okay,
back
what?
and they can see me pour.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's got to be like a cake pan.
Yeah, you can do a cake pan or yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because it's going to rise. That's why I
Like
said you
like
want to
a
give it enough room.
like a not a quiche, like a souffle, right? Like a souffle,
Yeah.
not a
This
quiche.
will be like mine's is going to be like a souffle, but if you want to use it, like if you can do this with regular eggs, and that's not going to be as light. This is I want as light as possible.
Okay.
And you guys, what I will do, if you stay tuned, you'll get to see it. Like go to my Facebook or Instagram, and you'll get to see the picture of what it
Mhm.
actually looks like.
So you're gonna post it up after it comes out.
Huh?
You're gonna post it after it comes up.
Oh, most definitely. I'm going to
Okay.
post it once it comes up. Take a picture so everybody can say like they were like, oh, I was part of that when she was.
Yes. Well, we were making it. Like I said, I saw. Look, honestly speaking, I'm not a fan of sweet potato. I really am not. I don't know why. Like I don't like sweet potato pie. I like bean pie and I
I
like
love
pumpkin
because.
pie. But I'm not a fan of sweet potato pie because I never really found anybody who can really make it good. Oh, that looks good. Now that looks good.
See, well, I don't like everybody's sweet potato pie, and I love bean pie. But the thing is, I like my own stuff, and I'm like, well, I realized after watching my Mandarin soaps, and I found a good Mandarin soap of cooking. I'm like so in awe with this, like scream,
You're
smack
you,
myself.
you're a mess. But
This is so
that looks lovely. So when do you put the nuts on it? At the end?
at the end when I get it, when it comes out, I'm going to put the nuts on top. So for right now, I'm going to put it in the oven. So also you might want to know, like, because I did not put any butter in here. I didn't put butter in mine or any
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I just put the sugars in, and it's going to rise. Now, some
Mm.
people you can put the butter in, like I said, and it's going to be a little bit denser in the oil. So then if you do that, you can put it in an air fryer. This is a recipe, and the air fryer does come with like a little cake pan if you get your air fryer. And you can put it in there, put it on like 300 degrees, and set the timer for like maybe 15 minutes and check it after like 6 minutes. So that's another way that you want to do that. But for this one, we're putting it in a regular oven. It's not a conventional oven, confectionate oven. It's a regular old fashioned. And I put it on 350, and we're going to see what it turns out like. So we're going to look at it fluff, and I believe it's going to be really beautiful. And then I'm going to take a picture, and I
Okay.
put it in a spring pan because I want to see something different. So this is me trying to be different.
Okay.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen. So I didn't do my little meditation. Um, that was it's okay. It'll work.
I found it to be beautiful though. I had a great time. I actually connected with the brother in Facebook.
Okay. Well, I'll give you his connection. He's from
No, no, I got it. I got his thing. I requested him
Oh, okay.
on Facebook. So you know, it's him. I checked. But I will see you. I will talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Take a, let everything walk away. Don't think about anything.
Oh, I'm done now. That was good. Today's show came out to be very beautiful. I thank you, everybody out there that support me, showed me love, and came out and was here for me. I really appreciate that.
Let me
Uh,
tell you something. I'm sorry. Let me tell you something. Like he said, the person who's whatever, they're not supposed to be here because they're not at your level. They may think that they're at your level, but they're not at your level. They will never be at your level. Ever. A hater is a hater. Always.
well, you know
And
that's
men,
not the vibration that I work at because that's
yep.
not me.
And men, especially black men, needs to stop hating on black women who are trying to succeed. So that's just my message. So I'm, so I'm gonna go. Bye, Mama.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, ladies
Take
and
care.
gentlemen, this has been Food Alchemy, and we are going to leave with this commercial. I'll leave you with this commercial. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Let's do me.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, bye, everyone.